Okay guys, it's the Hulk Gamer and welcome back to another video, and today is going to be a special one because we're going to be reviewing a game called Ironsight, which I've wanted to focus on for quite a while, and answering one simple question: is it worth your time? And at the end of the video I will be giving the overall rating of the game, so stay tuned for that. And now, before we hop into the video, please make sure you guys do subscribe, because you have no idea how much it helps me out at this early unknown stage of my YouTube journey. And also a reminder that I will be doing a giveaway soon for the Hulk community, which you obviously have to be subscribed for, so stay tuned for that. Now, Ironsight is a free multiplayer first-person shooter for the PC platform. The game was created by Whipple and Area Games and is being published by GameGo in a currently open public beta phase, with ongoing updates and maintenance fairly regularly since its release in early 2018. And yes, it has become available on Steam as recently as a month ago. And it's worth noting, guys, that the bare minimum specs for the game required are as follows: Windows 7 operating system, of course, Intel Core 2 Duo E7500 processor or equivalent, 4GB of RAM, preferably 8, and NVIDIA GeForce 9600 GT or equivalent, DirectX 9, obviously Wi-Fi, and with storage you'll need at least 8GB available on your hard disk drive or solid state drive. To begin with, let's take a look at the single player in terms of the storyline. And in quoting the developers, Ironsight is a futuristic military first-person shooter based on the battle between armed forces and private military cooperation in the year 2025. Equipped with the cutting-edge and weapons and drone systems, the realistic game will throw the player into the middle of intense situations as the player progresses through various different locations. Sounds exciting, right? Well, the Hulk's here, so let's see if it's all talk. Now, the story mode is a bonus aspect of the game in terms of quality and length. Not to mention, it is a free-to-play title, is Ironsight, and mainly multiplayer focused, of course. So the gripping single-player missions are like icing on the cake with Ironsight, and most certainly worth checking out when exploring the game, or if your internet's down, something like that. Now, before the proceeding missions in the single-player mode, there is a tutorial, but it's quite pointless, to be honest. I never completed it myself, and in playing through it now, I think it's actually made optional for a reason, simply being that your prior knowledge base of other fast-paced FPS shooters is enough to get you started in a game like Ironsight, which is ready, set, go, boots on the ground. Now, for the tail of the tape, we all want to know about the multiplayer aspect where the game takes its charge. So, without further ado, let's dive into the good stuff. In this, to start with, in Ironsight, players can jump into matches of 6v6 for intense shooting action in our 6 game modes, the 3 main being Team Deathmatch, Resource Takeover, which I should explain is a game mode unique to Ironsight. Other FPS shooters don't usually have, when both teams compete over destroying AI for more resources in total. So kind of a unique label to it. And Secure Point, obviously not really unique, but which is also known as Zone Control or Domination, consisting of 3 rounds. So you have that in other FPS games like Call of Duty and so on. Now, there are 3 other game modes, being the long-existent Sparse game mode, Frontline, and the new long-awaited edition of Capture the Flag. However, I would class these game modes as secondary at best, for the simple reason that they're only accessible in specific maps, not every single map. So there is that, and Search and Destroy has a 1 life per round element to it, unfortunately. So there's another disadvantage there. Next, in terms of player arsenal, there's a vast range of assault rifles, snipers, and other weaponry waiting to be equipped in 3 custom loadouts of your choosing. However, there's shockingly only a few shotguns under secondary weapons. Still, though, those weapons such as the Splash 12 can be overpowered sometimes, so no complaints from me. Additionally, there is 30,000 worth of in-game currency given to new players starting off in the game, which can be used for weapon purchases, modifications, and loadout repairs. Which I have to point out, loadout repairs, that isn't actually pay to win. So basically, developers of Ironsight, they don't prey on people for money like many of these other free-to-play titles have in the past. And yeah, so speaking of pay to win, guys, don't worry, I have been playing the game for almost 2 years since it's released, and I assure you, in-game currency isn't that hard to earn. With match earnings alongside daily login bonuses and loot boxes, or storage boxes. It all clears any pay-to-win aspect of the game with no kind of player manipulation. Speaking of maps, there are a total of 15 maps in the game, all of which are decently sized, not too big to be classed as open world, and not too small to be spawn killed in. The main 5 best and most commonly played among these, based off my experience, are Cloud9, which is kind of like a millionaire's club resort, like Dan Bilzerian and shit like that. Mart, which is a cool market district full of bars and shops and stuff like that. Dam, which is kind of like a military cargo loading dock under construction, so from that I kind of got a nostalgic hint of Delta Force from back in the day. And there's also Titan, which is a high-tech silo missile launching site. Cruise, which is a beautiful ship with a casino and a jacuzzi and all that kinky stuff. And the 3 latest new additions of maps to the game being Tower, which is a skyscraper building under construction, not too fond of that one. Station, which is a very good map. It's an actual train station though, with trains running in it, literally. And Discovery, which you guys can argue with me on this, but it looks like a subtropical enemy base off Far Cry, which to me just feels amazing. And yeah, all of these maps are like, they flow pretty well once you know player vantage points, spawn patterns, and which corners to turn and when, especially given Ironside with its maps can be quite predictable sometimes. And additionally, there's actually a unique usable feature or gimmick, if you will, in every single map, usually in the form of some sort of elevator or escalator or something like that. And yeah, furthermore, the graphics are beautiful. However, they can be lowered in the settings for weaker systems to enhance performance. So for those of you struggling to upgrade right now, like I was a few months ago, don't worry, you don't need a top-of-the-line hardware to enjoy most of what Ironside has to offer in terms of gameplay currently. I mean, graphics aren't everything. But with powerful enough system specs, you can utilize ultra settings for a high-quality visual gaming appeal. The textures are impressive, the way the light shines off objects being navigated. Yeah, I mean, it's clearly noticeable, and the smoothness of the motion blur, I think, is top tier. With Ironside, it's just an all-round stunning game to look at and get you in the mood for a moderately decent AAA experience, in my opinion. And regardless of the game's very average theme song, in-game audio is also quite decent, with realistic sound effects from gun sounds to object interactions, and not only that, but the voice acting is also pretty decent. Now, before we head into the pros and cons of the game itself, we must discuss, the elephant in the room, because I know a lot of people are going to be talking about it, and like, they do. So, what's so incredible about this game though, as it ranks amongst the top free-to-play shooters for the PC on the current title range in this genre, it doesn't really take a genius to understand its incredible similarities to Call of Duty. However, given it's literally a close match to previous Call of Duty titles in terms of quality and gameplay, I believe calling it a knockoff or a rip-off is a great disrespect to the title, and I would actually prefer a more suited term, such as a Call of Duty clone instead. I mean, guys, for the sake of review, I literally went back and played through some old COD titles, and what I found was it's literally Black Ops 2 with a futuristic hint and touch of that advanced tech feel some FPS games have, like Halo and Rainbow Six in some ways, for example. Bottom line, fellas, the Hulk gamer is an optimistic gamer, and if you judge a book by its cover, you might miss out on a great story. Now, starting with the cons. The main cons of the game are that, for one, some mechanics of the game are poorly constructed. For example, the pro movement is messy as it's long and difficult to get up from, which can, well, it has to me. I've lost plenty of 1v1s before from, this faulty, mechanism in the game. And there are shots through walls occasionally, and higher ping fools get more lag and, have it easier, as firsthand I've seen them warping around and even fly sometimes, or, have that character half showing. It's not good. There aren't many servers yet, which I noticed quite clearly when I started playing the game more frequently. It's quite hard to find a game with sufficient players to play in at certain times, mainly during the night, you know. There are slight netcode issues, and there are plans to fix this. It's worth mentioning because apparently the developers patched this in the last update. However, I still see some bugs therein, so just keep an eye out for that. Okay, a moderately larger problem with Ironside, I would say, is there's no free-for-all mode, which is key in any FPS game. And I was actually quite shocked when I realized myself they didn't have it. I mean, I enjoyed the game that much that I didn't really notice, because, you know, first-person shooters, Call of Duty, Battlefield, like, you just expect them to have, you know, free-for-all or deathmatch as another label, but they haven't got it, and they've got every other game mode, so it's just not there, and I think that is a problem. But I think it's nothing the developers can get past. And there's actually no kill cams present like in other FPS games and many previous COD titles. For example, you know, from the enemy's perspective, it shows the kill they got on you once you die. So you can't you can't complain and be like, no, that's BS. No, you didn't kill me. Nah, you screwed up, mate. Sit down. And there's also a settings glitch ongoing, which I noticed I seem to have where I put the field of view to the full 90, for example. But then when it reverses back to 89 when I log back in, and this has been going on a while, ever since I got the game, I think. I don't know why it does that, but yeah. Also, there are a few noticeable amount of hackers once you start playing often. I've noticed this. I've definitely noticed there are a few odd hackers. But yeah, I also think that you can block these players, and then if in the future you won't be matched up with them when it's searching for matches. So there is that. And lastly, there's a prolonged graphical glitch at the start of matches sometimes, where I think it doesn't show, you know, full parts of objects for a while. It takes a while to load. Okay, that's it for the cons. Now the pros. The pros are that it's obviously a classic FPS shooter like COD and other AAA titles that have come out over the years. It's boots on the ground with fast-paced gameplay action most FPS games require, so it's non-stop action and the fight finds you, so your adrenaline is always running. It's got a growing and large community currently ongoing, and it's only improving going forward. There's of course the fun factor of it with its consistent and addictive replay value. There's plenty of loadout and weapon options to choose from with additional features such as emotes, weapon tags and player tags. You know, the minor things that make a game, like, you know, it's like the cream on top, those minor features. It's got all that. There's a simple user interface so new players can adapt quickly and start shagging other players. Well presented with good graphics. It's free to play, but it's not pay to win. As we established before, guys, with My Promise in Ironside, there's no way to gain an advantage over other players using real life money. For the final thoughts, to sum up, I sincerely think the developers really did their homework on this one and took their time. However, if you're not a fan of the fast-paced, immersive and competitive first-person shooters, then a solid example like Ironside, as good as I think it is with all my experience and the fun I've had, it won't change your mind. But if you are, then Ironside is perfect for you. I mean, with that being said, a free-for-all mode must be added. I mean, it's not really optional in such a title, but regardless of this flaw, in comparison, looking at the cons of the game, we can see very minor issues with Ironside in contrast to the game has to offer. Just mainly server issues and missing features that can easily be added based off the other features that are in the game already, that the developers have coded into the game already. These features can definitely be added with ease. And then on the brighter side, we can see Ironside offers addictive and fun, immersive gameplay, plenty of in-game customizability, with good graphics and simplicity in its user interface, so it can be picked up right from the get-go. Not to mention, on top of all this, we're talking about a free-to-play title, guys. That's not pay to win. A free-to-play title that's not pay to win. On this level, it's very impressive. And ultimately, we're going to give it a final score of 8 out of 10. Therefore, finally, with no surprise, we can see Ironside is definitely worth your time and mine, and I can't wait to just get back to dominating some more and releasing more future content on this beauty. And that's it for the video, guys. Please do remember to subscribe, as like I said, right now it would help me out more than ever. Like the video if you enjoyed it and or found it helpful, and also comment what you thought on anything relative down below in the comment section. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Take care, Hulk fam. Peace.